Russ, as you guys go forward from the rest of this road trip, I mean, what are some of the things you guys need to try to get accomplished, and how you got to go about doing that?
Win.
And how do you do that?
Just go out and win. However you got to figure it out at this point.
Russ, you guys have talked, dating back to the start of training camp about the process that this season would be. Is that still the mentality, or is there a greater sense of urgency now, kind of considering where you guys are?
Well, I mean, don't need to have a sense of urgency. Nobody's winning anything right now, and we, get our team together and playing and get a better rhythm. That will come as the season prolongs, and that's that. We don't. I think the reality of it is that everybody on the outside have really high expectations of our team, as they should. But the reality of it is we haven't really played, with each other realistically, and nobody cares. And obviously, after each game, everybody asks the same question. And I'm tired of giving the same answer, so it's the same question every game. Every time we lose, it's like, hey, how long do you think it's going to take? We don't know. It's just, when we win, it's going to take some time. So the reality of it is that throughout the season, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. It's now what you do as a team. Either you can pull apart or you come together and figure it out. And we know that we have the team to be able to figure it out and the experience to be able to do so. Our job is to be able to now do it and implement the things that we know on the floor and try to figure it out as the season prolongs.
How do the Lakers win a championship? Easy question. Very easy question. I'll give you an easy answer too. Either A, trade Russell Westbrook and get a better bench or two better shooters, or B, bench Russell Westbrook. That's all that needs to be said, because they agreed that they would put their egos aside and do whatever it takes to win. They said that, didn't they? But that has yet to happen. Let's take a look at the clip.
Returns after missing 8 straight games. The Lakers lose their 3rd straight. They fall to under 500. They are now 8-9. After scoring 38 points in the first quarter, guys, and leading at halftime, the rest of the way, they scored just 23 in the second quarter, 21 in the third, and then just 26 on a late 3 there from Dwight in the fourth. And they give up a season high 130 points, James.
It was ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a cigar all ready to light up. I had a bet with Cedric Maxwell. He's back there smoking his cigar right now. But yeah, man, this was not a good performance. I mean, the Milwaukee performance, we thought they were moving in the right direction. To come into the Boston and lay an egg like they did tonight was kind of bad. To get beat up like they did by a team that was kind of struggling themselves. But you always know a struggling team is dangerous. And the Lakers struggling themselves to be out rebounded the way they were, to be beat up in the paint the way they were. The amount of layups that the Celtics were able to get by just moving and playing good, solid basketball, which is kind of embarrassing for the Lakers to have that kind of performance. So, yeah, there's somewhat of a little virus in there. You feel good some days, you'll play a good game against Milwaukee. Next day, the virus sets in. Oh, I'm a little sick. Third quarter, I mean, not physically sick, yeah, but third quarter woes again. The same old mistakes are not being corrected. So that's a problem. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. LeBron came back tonight, but you cannot have performances like this over and over and over. So now I'm thinking that, wow, what's wrong with the team? What's going on with the communication? What's happening in the locker room? Not that there's anything negative going on, but it's a communication there. What's happening from the transfer from the chalkboard to the players to the floor? Why isn't it happening? So I know it takes time, but that kind of basketball, you don't like to see lack of effort, lack of determination. Just when you start a game like they did, we're fighting, we're right there, and then
Up 14.
all of a sudden, when that goes away, it makes you wonder, what's wrong? I mean, it's kind of weird to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one of the toughest things, like with a new group, that you'll end up facing is when adversity hits. Like, we're still trying to figure each other out, right? And I'm not sure if, like, when the fire alarm goes off, like, are you going to run? You know what I mean? Like, or are we going to stay and help put out the fire? Like, which way are you going to go, Geets?
Yeah.
And that's important to know. Otherwise, well, I'm not staying here to put the fire out if you're not going to risk yourself either.
Not knowing each other yet.
Not knowing
Trust.
each other enough.
Right.
And trusting, okay, we're going to work our way back into this game this way. Not me trying to do it, and then I'll try to do my thing. And then, so I think there's a combination of things that are happening. One, I think the smaller lineup is making it more difficult to protect the paint, right?
Yeah.
56 points in the paint for the Celtics tonight.
56 to 36.
And so, which is, if the smaller lineup was allowing us to be more effective offensively, right, scoring more points, then you'd have to kind of choose, well, which one do we want? But with the smaller lineup and only scoring 102, it's like you're not getting the benefit of the smaller lineup. Lastly, I still think that there's a tug of war from an identity standpoint for a lot of guys individually, right? And you're trying to figure out, how do I do my thing and us win? And sometimes those two things have to be separated.
Yes.
And it's just, do I want to win? Doesn't matter how it looks, doesn't matter what my stat line is, what my minutes are. The amount of energy, intensity, detail, game plan, discipline, communication, like all of those things have to be maximum.
Yeah.
And you might not like the way the stat sheet looks, but your team wins more than the other team. And it's making that decision that's the only reason I'm out here. There's still a little bit of resistance to that this team has to go through, where they can become more consistent in their performance. It's not about losing. You're going to lose a lot of games in the NBA, but it's how they're losing at times that it just doesn't quite sit as well. They can figure it out. There's time, but you want to see more of the we're in this together feeling. Doesn't quite look that way consistently.
To answer your question, I think you already knew the answer. I'm staying right here to fight the fire with you. Okay?
He's got the fire extinguisher over there.
Okay, staying right here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Can this team play together? The last time they played together very well was against like Houston Rockets, the first game or something like that, where they scored a combined like 90 points. And they were gloating like, awesome, blah, blah, blah. But it was the Houston Rockets. You know how many teams are coming up after them right now? And it's just embarrassing losses. So in order for the LA Lakers to win a championship this year, you either A, trade Russell Westbrook, Brick or Brook, whatever you want to call it, or you bench him and make him come off the bench. Because not only does that solidify your bench, that also allows LeBron James to get the ball more when he's on the floor. Because Russell Westbrook always commands the ball every single time. So having Russell Westbrook move over to the bench would allow the bench more in-depth scoring and get more assists that way. So just get them going kind of thing. And put Rondo in his place. Or THT is doing a phenomenal job, and he should start for the Lakers, which he's been doing for the last two games. But this guy's, you can tell why the Lakers signed him for 3 years, because he is legit, and he's only like 19 or 20 years old, so he's up and coming. He is the real deal. Not yet, but he's making it himself look like the real deal. But if the Lakers want any shot at the championship, they're gonna have to do that. Trade Russell Westbrook or bench him.